New Mexico. Team is playing extremely hard. They defensively, they're aggressive, play man coverage. They're going to try to get after the quarterback, especially on throwdowns. Throw a lot of different looks at you, so you have to get the ball out, catch it, do a good job there. But they're an aggressive defense. On offense, they've had a few quarterbacks as they've gone through the year. They want to run the quarterback, and successfully last week ran the ball very well against what I think is an extremely good defense with Air Force, and so it'll be a good challenge. These kids are playing. No season hasn't gone the way they want it to go, but they've played extremely hard, and I'm sure they're going to play extremely hard, in this last game at home. So it's a great opportunity, and what we need to do is go back and understand that this is a huge game for us, and this is a big, big game for the Aggies, and we need to approach it that way, and I'm sure we will.
Can you expand on that just a little bit of why it's important? I mean, you talked about it after the game that 6 doesn't necessarily get you in a bowl. Is that what you're talking about, or in other areas too?
Well, that's part of it, and it's how we're going to react to adversity. Again, this team has been put into some really good situations and some really, really solid successes in close ball games, and we've lost some tough ones that went down the last play. Wake Forest is obviously an example with that. And they've had some games when we've gotten beaten badly and we've reacted very well every time. And I think it's always a character check regardless of what goes on the week prior to. But this one, walking into we have 6 games. To get to a 7th game, I think, is a huge accomplishment. But obviously, we had a lot of adversity last week, and we need to bounce back from that. So I think it's a character check. And how are you going to play for your seniors? The last regular season game also is a big part of it. But a close eye on everybody in this program right now, coaches, players, to see how we're going to react in this situation. Understand it is a big game, and again, the players have made it a big game. And I expect us to go, play well, and I'm sure New Mexico expects to play well on their own side.
They're averaging 203 yards passed in a game. It's a different look New Mexico team than we've seen in past years. What's the biggest? I mean, how big of a difference is it from playing them in years past?
Well, I don't know what they did years past, so I haven't really studied them in the past years. I know a few years ago, I believe they were more option oriented, and they've showed some of that also. They get into that little bit of the kind of the inverted wishbone, I guess you would say, at times, and. So they have that in their package, but again, it's an aggressive run style, and they caught a quarterback that came in the last game, threw a couple nice touchdown passes on fades. I believe it was his first drive he did it, and then he got another one later that was an even deeper one that was a nice ball that was caught for a touchdown. So they will throw it, but they definitely want to be aggressive with the run game and cause you a lot of pullers and a lot of misdirection. They can get physical up front, and they're not afraid to run the quarterback, like I've said. So you have to be ready for a lot of things, and with an offense. And this time of year, that's there's with the changes that have taken place, it's not abnormal to have teams that are trying to do quite a bit on offense to cause some confusion with defenses.
Now, did number 8 get hurt in the game as a quarterback?
I don't know. It sounds like he did. It sounded like he had a hamstring from what we've been able to gather. So I don't know exactly the accuracy of that. And, but it looked like to me it was a play on the sideline. At least that's the last play that he was in there. And so I don't know. I don't know if he's done, has a hamstring, but we've been told, or I was told by our coaches that look at that stuff, that they believe it was a hamstring that was fairly significant. So who knows, could come back and may not be there, may be there.
So you think the number 10 would probably be the
yes, is the guy,
freshman redshirt guy,
yes,
and who did throw the 5 or 7, and when he was in there, and he looks like he could still be a little bit mobile too.
Oh yeah, he can run. Yeah, he's definitely a dual threat quarterback, and came in with a lot of poise and confidence and belief. He carried himself. You watch the film. I watched the whole TV copy, and I watched the game copy, and he walked in there and stage wasn't too big for him at all. He walked in there and had a lot of confidence and did some good things with his team. And again, he threw it and ran it both. And the offense wasn't a drastic change within the scheme, and I wouldn't expect it to be this week either, especially the way he threw the ball.
Alex Hart, number 33, the middle linebacker, looks like a really well-rounded player. What do you see on film that makes him a dynamic dangerous player?
I like both those inside guys. Just the motors, how hard they play, the aggressive style that they play with. It kind of reminds me of Jake Dowdy when Jake was here. Just a tough guy, loves to play football, physical, and both those kids are cut right out of that same scenario that you look at with Jake. I mean, they're good leaders. They're aggressive. Again, play hard every single snap. They right there within the scheme. Good pressure guys when they need to bring them, and they'll bring those guys from a lot of different spots. So the number two is kind of the same way. They'll bring those guys from all over the place, and a lot of pretty sophisticated blitzes that they'll bring at you. So you got to be prepared for that with some guys that are very active and love the game of football.
Coach, you've coached a long time and seen last games where a team like New Mexico's in, where they have nothing on the table to really play for, but it's the last game for some of their guys. Pride. Those are sometimes probably some of the toughest games for a team that's favored to go into.
No doubt. And, you just watch how these kids have played week after week after week after week. And, I focused on all the games, but I've really focused on the last two against very good teams with Boise and Air Force, and those kids played their tails off. I mean, they played hard on all phases, and, we're going to get that same thing with this week. There's no doubt in my mind. And we better get that from the Aggies too. That's what needs to take place is extreme effort, play the right way, compete the right way, prepare the right way. And again, I say it's all hands on deck. Everybody that's associated with us needs to be on our A game this week. From trainers, equipment guys, to film guys, to coaches, to graduate assistants, to myself, to every player. That's where we need to be, period.
Mexico, they've blocked 3 kicks this year by 3 different players. And what have you seen from their scheme or just their individual effort that's put them in those positions? I have not got to the special teams yet. I'm sure Coach Collins obviously has, and we'll get to work on that this afternoon. And but they'll be ready to play. It's just I think the special team side of it is Coach Collins will get it into a good spot. Last week it wasn't, and we didn't play well on special teams last week, and we gave up some big plays, and we need to be better in that situation. So I think that's a lot of times special players block kicks. It's not easy. It's you can draw it up to get there, and it's still with most kids it's about 30% of the time they'll be able to put their hand on the ball, especially when it's a punting situation. But getting 3 kicks in a year is very, very good. And I just keep going back to the same thing. This team has been well prepared and it has reacted extremely well to adversity every single time it's hit them this year. And special teams needs to react when they got hit in the face a little bit with adversity, and I'm excited to see how they react.
How do you feel inside the games the guys react when adversity's on? How do you read your team that way on the sidelines, Gary?
Very well. When you go down to the wire with those 5 games that we've won that go right down to the wire, I think it shows character, toughness, grit, belief in each other, all those things that come with that. There was times in this last game that we didn't handle it well. We didn't. I don't believe we handled the moment the way we needed to handle the moment against Boise. Why that is, I don't know. It's frustrating, but it's my job to make sure that doesn't happen. And there was some situations where we're uncharacteristic. In just outside of football, play the game, get in the situation, get in the moment, and that's it's the young man's job to handle that, but it's also our job to make sure that no moment should be too big, no situation should be too big, and regardless if you're a freshman or you're a senior, and do everything you can to help your team. So I thought we've handled it great all year long. There was a couple moments in the Boise game where I would like to see it, handled differently, and that's education. That's all of us involved to be able to help the kids be, in that spot to react appropriately.
You said Caleb's coming in here in a few minutes. Caleb, how do you describe the catch that he made in the game the other day, which was our highlight of the night, really long?
Yeah, a great. A fantastic play, number one, I guess I would say. It's number one on SportsCenter, I was told this morning. So it's a tremendous individual athletic play. It just goes to show that Caleb's a grinder. He's a worker. He can make those plays, but that was a special play. We all know that, and I guess the last thing I would say is that it goes back to recruiting, right? When you draw it up, you don't draw it up that way. And he was able to make a special play. And he's a great kid. I think he's really enjoyed his time here. He sees it come to a close here real quick. And, I believe from all what he tells me and the way he carries himself that he believes this was a great decision. And I know it was a great decision for all of those transfers. All of those transfers that came here made us a different team, and we would not be where we are today without those kids that transferred in here. So those grad transfers were a big part of it. I think they've all had success, and Caleb's that was a tremendous play, but all those kids are great additions to our program.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, you're good. I mean, you've seen basically, counting film on New Mexico, you've seen half the tight ends of the Mountain West this year. Is there a better pass-catching tight end than Caleb?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. There's some really good tight ends. He's a little bit of he's a hybrid. His ability to be able to catch passes, be involved in our offense the way we ask him to be involved in our offense is. I think he does a tremendous job, and he's very talented at what he does. There's some other really talented tight ends in this league also. I think the Bates kid at Boise State's the next level tight end, and he's a great kid. We recruited him hard, and so but his job is way different than Caleb's, right? I mean, he's down in the trenches banging around and blocking defensive ends and whatever comes his way in the throw game he takes. But it's just an example of Caleb is a wide receiver sometimes. He's a tight end sometimes. He's a H where he comes and does those different things. And so I think he's a very talented tight end in this league. And, I think he's we'll see what people think of him, I guess, when they go through any type of voting. But I think he's a very talented player for us.
You said that teams don't sometimes make a bowl game at 6. How important is it for your program to play a bowl game this year?
Well, I think it's very important, but I think you deserve that. You in a way, when you get to 6 wins, it's basically said you're bowl eligible. But you earn your right to get into that bowl game, right? Somebody has to look at you and say, I want that team. And so to get to a 7th win is a big part of that. To play in a bowl game is a tremendous advantage as long as you deserve to get to that bowl game. And getting 6 wins doesn't just magically say you deserve to go to a bowl game. So, but what does it do for your program? It gives you more practices. It gives the seniors a chance to go to a bowl game. It gives the seniors a chance to win a championship in a bowl game. And I don't think you can underestimate the power of that. It's a special time for the kids, and they have a good time, but to go play a football game. But again, you need to earn your right to get into that bowl game. And it's like I always say, 6 and 7 is good, and there's a reward potentially. 7, there will be a reward. 8 and 9 is a great year, and double-digit wins is an elite year. I mean, that's what college football is all about. And right now we're at 6, so get to 7 would be one step closer to having something there at the end that means something special to you, and then a chance to get 8, and then that's one step closer. So going to a bowl game is a big accomplishment, but it's also a program builder as you go through to be able to get the young kids, especially as many young kids as we have, just more repetitions, practice, depending on when the bowl game is. Anything else? Okay, guys, appreciate it. Go Aggies.
Thank you.
This week we have New Mexico, and it's a away game. It's our final game of the regular season, and I just feel like this week, just prepare and just, keeping the main thing, and just going over different techniques and different fundamentals, and just help us get this win.
I want to say, Cam, you have 11 PBUs this season. You had a couple really nice ones against Boise State. How much did, as a senior, eclipsing making it to double digits, how much does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, that just shows like all the off-season work that us as the corners do off the field, and then film study with what our cornerback coach teaches us, and we go over different concepts. So that pretty much helps with me making those plays. And it's just the extra effort that you need to take, just to make those plays. So I'm very proud of that achievement. The season's not over, and I'll do anything for my defense and for my team and to succeed. So, yeah.
How can you give us a read of how frustrating the game was for the defense against Boise State? It had to be hard out there.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I mean, it's hard when you kick your own self in your foot during those times. We had a rough time tackling, obviously. And, majority of that stuff is just falls back on just our fundamentals. I think we kind of got away from our fundamentals during the game, just basically just getting off blocks, shedding blocks, tackling, rallying to the ball. Those are some key things that I think are pivotal in those big time moments, especially versus a good team like Boise. I just felt like it just came down to just the techniques and just the, just tackling basically. But it was very frustrating. But we're a strong team, and we'll fight back.
As a fifth year senior, how do you help rally the team after a tough loss?
Well, I think this whole season has just been about fighting. I mean, we always like get into those close and tough battles. I mean, we beat very great teams, just basically just going over techniques, fundamentals, day one things. I think the more things that we focus on as a defense, during practice, more of the fundamentals, that would show like just basic things, just like running to the ball, maintaining leverage, just basically dumbing the defense down a little bit, just basically running more basic concepts, not really trying to, not really trying to do too much, basically. And I think that'll be good this week.
Against New Mexico, it's a little different to think that they actually have, looking at the stats, they pass for more yards a game than run the ball more over the years. When you played New Mexico, it's always you have to play the option or you have to kind of stop the running game, but they're a little more balanced this year, it looks like. I mean, I know you haven't really started to really study them a lot more. Isn't that your feeling, that you've always had to kind of, you've got to been responsible because somebody's running on the outside a whole lot with their offense? And see, like, the past years, New Mexico were like the triple option, and then they started to veer off into more of a spread concept. But now I watched a couple games. Now they just do basic spread. That was kind of eye opening as well. But I think it'll be a good matchup this week between what they do. I mean, they have a lot of athletes. I have been watching some game copies, previous games, and I think it'll just be a good matchup. They have good talent. We have good talent. I think it'll just come down to, who basically wants it more. This is the last game of the season, and they have senior night as well. So I'm pretty sure they're going to be emotional. We're going to be emotional as well, coming off a hard loss this week. So I think it'll be a good test. Our offense is spread as well. So we'll just see what happens. I'm excited for it. We're getting down to, we hope you're playing 2 more games in your career. What would you say about your Utah State years that you've been here? I mean, you talked a little bit about that before when you were here, but now it's really towards the end.
I'm pretty much throughout all my years, just never quitting. That's all Utah State is. It doesn't really matter whatever the record shows. It's about what goes on inside these buildings with the coaching staff and the players and all the personnel and, just that core family that we have here. I've been grateful for it all, and whatever happens, I enjoyed every day from the time I first got here when I was 17 and now I'm 22. So, I don't really harp on losses that much. I don't really pride myself when we win. I'm more day by day. So, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, being there with my with the boys and with my friends, just basically embracing each other. That's more of what makes me the player that I am. It's not really what we do on Saturdays. It's what we do before the games and things of that nature. So, I'm just pretty much grateful for everything.
Of those seniors the other day, how many have been with you the whole time?
It was me, Gerald, Dalton Baker, Wildman, Chris Unger. I think that's
I
think that's it. Yeah, from the 2015 recruiting class, I think it was about, was it like 15 or 20 of us or something like that. But yeah, so they came down to 5 of us. So, but I mean, I loved every moment. It was an emotional senior day for me, and I just loved it. I mean, I don't. Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we lost. I mean, it's all right.
We've been part of some great teams too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's been greater moments. Like just because we lost, like, and we got the short end of the stick. I mean, that doesn't like define who we are, basically. So I just think we're just gonna come back fighting. I mean, that's what we always do. So I've been around here where it's been great years, where it's been bad years. So, that's just how I feel about that.
Yeah, we go to New Mexico, and then we just got to get back to basics and just play our football. I mean, that's really all you can do is just play your brand of football and just try not to shoot yourself in the foot is what it comes down to. And yeah, just do that. Cool.
Can you talk about the catch you made and that was on SportsCenter and all that stuff? What do you remember about it? And did you know you got your foot in and all that kind of stuff?
The catch, like I remember it, and like I remember like feeling the ball in my hands and everything. And I was more worried about like securing the ball more than getting my foot in. I wasn't even thinking about getting my foot in, but yeah, I mean it all worked out. So it was pretty cool to see that top on SportsCenter. That was
what is it? How? I mean, obviously, lots of people probably contact you after that. What has it been like to get people's comments after you are on SportsCenter and
that? It's been like a lot of people have been hitting you up or hit me up just saying like good job and everything. It's been pretty cool to get like encouraging words and everything and stuff. Just basically like a lot of encouraging comments and everything, just to keep working harder and everything. But yeah, I mean, yeah, sorry.
Have you ever made it? I mean, it reminded me of a catch on the movie The Replacements, like back in 2001. Have you ever made a catch like that before, where it's almost like have Velcro hands there?
I mean, I practice it at practice, and I practice it like just throughout the day and everything, just because you never know when that time can come. But in a game, I never made a one-handed crab like that before. That was pretty cool. Yeah.
You've shown this year, I mean, you obviously talked about, and when we talked to you earlier, that you played defense at Utah, and you could have maybe played defense here. They were, but you came here because they acted like they were going to let you catch the ball. Have you liked the way you've developed as a tight end and how they've used you, which is kind of an interesting way that they've decided to use you and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like everything about coming here and how they've used me and stuff. I definitely I don't like playing defense would have just been like a bonus. I didn't even care to do that. But catching the ball and everything and just letting me go out and make plays, that's been like just a true blessing for them to call my number and have the confidence in me to go do all that kind of stuff. So it's been pretty fun. It's been more than what I can ask for my senior year. So pretty grateful for that.
I'm pretty sure I'd have to look at everything. I'm pretty sure you have more catches than any other tight end in the Mountain West. How much do you feel this season just kind of put you in a better spot to maybe have a future playing football?
I feel like that just goes back to like my faith in Christ and everything. I always felt like I could do what I'm doing, like in any conference. I feel like, but I had to wait my turn and everything. So when I get my number called now, it's just pretty cool. But sorry, I forgot the rest of the question. I was answering the question, but
oh, it's good.
Yeah.
I think all the guys that are listed in the top receivers in the group are all wide receivers.
I'm pretty sure. I've looked at it before. I can't imagine, honestly.
And Caleb is going into this weekend, he was second in the Mountain West in receptions and third in receiving yards among tight ends.
Tight ends.
Okay.
There was an analytics that came out I saw that showed he was like second best. You were the second most effective tight end in the country, or for yards and catches and that kind of stuff that came out. So that was neat.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool too. Just to get like the recognition, especially like the rocky season that we're having and everything. But to get that recognition is pretty cool. And you know, like that's not just me doing that. You know, that comes from first, like it comes from the O-line. You know, getting the protection that Jordan needs to throw the ball, and then obviously Jordan just making great throws every time. And then I just gotta do my part and just catch the ball, and then try and make something happen after that. So.
Coach Anderson was talking about how New Mexico plays aggressive defense. They play a lot of man. They leave the corners on an island sometimes. They've given up a lot of touchdowns and yards this year. How excited are you to match up against a team that's gonna give you some 1v1 coverage?
I'm more excited to like watch Chelsea and go off against him because I mean we all know Chelsea's like a pretty fun player to watch. I mean watching like for them to even think about going one-on-one with him that's gonna be exciting to see. Just see bombs all day. Hopefully we'll see that. But as far as me, yeah, I mean I love a one-on-one too. But I mean I think Chelsea's gonna be the big matchup if they want to try and do that. Yeah, or
Okay.
DT.
Can I ask you about you left Utah with the kind of year Utah's having? What do you think about that? That you could be down there with a team that might make it into the Final Four or whatever? Do you think anything about that? You and COC, they talked about that?
Yeah, I mean, of course we talked about that. It's like what they're doing is like incredible. And like we like since we've been there, it was kind of like building up to that, you know, to what they are now. And me personally, like I wouldn't change anything. Like I feel I'd rather be like happy and like being on like a team that has to, you know, fight for every week instead of like just being miserable and like winning a bunch of games. But you know, shout out to them. Yeah, they're doing great. It's awesome to see them, and you know, I'm rooting for them all the way too. So it's pretty cool to see Utah do that well.
Because you've probably still got a lot of friends. Or
Yeah. A bunch of teammates and everything, a bunch of friends. So it's cool to see them do good.
Coach told you guys after the game that 6 wins doesn't guarantee a bowl game. You got to win this week. How do you feel about that, of trying to play another game after this one?
I mean, you always want to go to a bowl game. Bowl game's kind of like the cherry on top of the season. Winning the bowl game is the cherry on top of the season. But I mean, it's kind of like a pride thing, a pride in your team. Like you're not just gonna roll over and just not accept going to a bowl game. I mean, you want to finish the season strong and everything. So you just don't want to not look forward to a bowl game. So yeah, I personally want to play for a bowl game just because no football for me is guaranteed after this. So as many games as I can while I can. So it's good for me.